speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
See, with Skype here, I didn't actually know how long it takes to start because it says start. It's still saying start recording for me, and it's now just changed the numbers. So we just sit here with this really long, awkward silence before we go. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome in. It's been that long since we've recorded. I actually didn't remember what I say at the start.
You used to have a little catchphrase at the start, but you sort of did.
Good evening, fellow morons, is it no?
Aye.
Hello, fellow morons. How are we all feeling tonight?
I'm in a good mood.
Bit tired.
Tired as well. At least.
Well, so Burnsy can be excused. He does have COVID. Although I had COVID, I took the night off, Burnsy, so more fool you.
I know you would fall apart without me, so I've had to drag myself out of my sick bed to come down to the living room.
Well, you're setting some standards for your thoughts on the two movies that we're going to watch tonight. The movies that we're going to be reviewing tonight are the second half of The Partners. So we have Laura and Ella's choices of movies. Ella selected, well, we say Ella, it's really Daniel that selected it. Ella selected Midsummer, and Laura decided on In Bruges, two completely random movies to be selected by our partners. Like when me and Sean's partners went, it was a bit more like that girly ones where are a bit more fun, a bit more entertaining than these two selected movies. But I suppose we better start off with the more fun-filled movie out of the two, and we'll kick off with Midsummer. Midsummer, a movie that came out in 2019 for nearly 2.5 hours. But that'll come up there as a comment later on, I'm sure, from Sean. A couple travels to Northern Europe to visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. What the fuck? Daniel, I think we should come to you. Let's get in the mindset of Ella/you that selected this.
So Ella and I had actually watched this before when it was first on Netflix. I'd forgotten how fucking mental it is. It really is a weird fucking movie, isn't it? We've had a few of these, and I know that they really don't land well with Sean and Burnsy. I hold out a little bit of hope that Hunter might have quite liked some of it in a weird way, but maybe not. But I quite enjoy it. It's super weird. And I enjoy weird stuff. Like, see all the weird behaviours, like sitting at the table and all that. And when one of them sits down, before they all sit down, and they're all just standing awkwardly. It was a really strange thing. It seems like the type of thing gullible Americans would do. It's like, they see Europe as this weird place. I bet folk in America think of Sweden's like this. And it's all just like weird fucking shit going on. But I don't know, the gullible fucking Americans falling into the weird cult kind of worked quite well for me. The best bit of the whole film is where the two old folk jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
Because up till that point, there was just like a sinister undertone that you knew it was all a bit weird. But that was when... This is where there's a bit of flaw in the movie. That's where they should have just fucked off and left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that they stayed about after that was a massive sort of plot.
Does one of them not disappear at that point? Like, or just after?
The other couple disappeared. Like, they got taken
long.
They got killed. You saw their bodies at the end.
Yeah.
But the boyfriend of the little girl in the dungarees was the first one to go. And remember they kept saying, oh, he's over into town.
Yeah.
He went to his own and all that. It was obvious where everything was sort of going south at that point. So I suppose even if they did try and leave, they were going to find a way to keep them there and sacrifice them. And I think the whole idea is that when they get to that what is it, their autumn or their summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they fucking decide their ages. It's fucking weird. They've got to go away out into the world and find people to bring back so that they can sacrifice them to whatever the fucking weird god is. But no, I'm interested in people's thoughts on some particular scenes. The one that I'm excited to talk about most is when the guy is having sex with the ginger lassie, surrounded by all the old naked ladies, and they're all making that noise over and over again. And then he comes and starts pushing his arse into her more and more. Super weird, eh?
I don't even know where to start with this movie. Is probably the biggest confusing thing I've got. I don't think of anything that I really enjoyed. I like the main actress, her for Black Widow.
She's good.
I think she does a really good part. Way more than anybody else. And apart from Will Poulter, Will Poulter's class though, so you can see him as being that really annoying, like sex hungry little kid that he plays in this. I was pissing myself though when he starts taking a piss over the big sacred tree, and he's all confused about why he's getting shouted at. But that probably falls into the arrogance and gullibleness of Americans, as you would get like to get showcased in loads of different things to be a bit like, because he was very much like, so what? Like, who cares? What does that even involve? I sat and watched this, literally feeling like staring at the screen, but having actually no idea what I was watching. And the scene where you're talking about, Daniel, where the two old people jump off at the end of their life cycle, that totally threw me. Because up to that point, I thought this is just going to be like a really ancestral town that Marty McFly is going to appear in at some point. But I'm still so confused, so I'm hoping that you guys can shed a little bit more light on to what actually happened in this movie.
So which bits are you confused about then? Let's go through them. This will be more enjoyable than me just talking about bits of the movie.
Well,
I've got one bit.
What is the role of the ancestral spawn elephant man who just cut them out?
So what I gathered, the engineer, an ancestral, hideous, weird, sort of deformed child, whenever that one dies, they make a new one again, and that person can see and whatever God wants and scribbles it on paper and like crayons. There you go.
And it sat up in the corner of that room as well, whilst the guy was pumping the ginger lassie.
This was an insane movie. Like, I like when films take chances and like try and do something completely different. Like, and this is never going to land with everybody. And there's loads of parts here that were fucking. They could have maybe cut out. They should have probably done a little bit more of the main actress going mental. So I mean, and a bit less. I didn't really care about like, oh, I'm going to write my thesis about this at university, and let's argue over who's going to write their thesis. That bit was off. Cut all that shit out and have more like all the weird, creepy shit. Like, did you find yourself quite oddly drawn in during the weird dance competition where they were all running in circles and?
I quite enjoy I like things when they become long and drawn out, because I think it's. To me, it gets funnier the longer it goes on. So when they were dancing and they were slowly knocking people out, you knew she was going to win. But I was just pissing myself at them, like dancing, all doing the same dance in the same rotation, and then random lasses just falling.
It's because they've taken like that. They've taken some sort of drug.
Aye.
They've given different hallucinogenics all the way randomly, little cups, and they're just drinking them. Here's a little cup of stuff. Aye, all right. Okay. Then he wakes up and he's inside a bear. Like, the whole thing was...
The bear. Well, what I'll say is, what I did find interesting was how they described a life cycle. So, for 0 to 72, was it?
Yeah.
Like every 18 years or something is a different part of the year, like throughout there. I thought that was quite cool and that was quite interesting, but I just Like, they explained that, and then next thing, two old biddies jump off of the cliffs. One doesn't yet. One jumps like he's going into a swimming pool.
Kill him with a hammer. The big
Oh,
What was he did?
That's what I was going to say when you said the funniest. I think you said, was it you that said, Daniel, the funniest part of the film was when they fall off the cliff. I thought it was more when they had to actually take the hammer to it because it was
Aye,
like
it's
we were
mostly
still
not-
alive
it was like
after
a-
that fall.
it's like a ceremonial head caving in because there's four of them go up to get a fucking shot at it.
It was done after the first one, guys. Like,
Just had to see the actual skull just disintegrating into two parts, just to make sure that he'd actually died.
But I will say, in terms of positives for this movie, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad movie. I think it's a really weird and unique script to follow and understand, and you have to be quite quirky, I think, to be into it. It looks stunning, like it's really well done. There's a few good actors and actresses in it, and it is weirdly interesting. Like, I finished having this conversation, then I spoke to someone from my work who's actually from Sweden, and she was, "Oh yeah, I know about this," and like, she knew a lot of detail about it. But then I was just like, I've still no idea what I watched. And she's like, yeah, it's a bit like that. Like, it's really hard to understand. And that was kind of, I was like, well, I'm not talking about it anymore because it's just like blew my mind for the last 2.5 hours. I've no idea what's happened.
I mean, I think it maybe helps that this is my second watch. I think I possibly felt like that when I first watched it. I think now it's important, and its basic premise is that these are weird folk that worship some weird fucking god that they sacrifice people to. And
That's the bit I didn't get. That is that so they had to bring people in for the outside. Why did they have to? That just went right over my head. Why did they need to bring people in to be killed? I didn't get why that was.
I thought they brought them in for procreation.
Yeah, there's two reasons. There's for procreation, so they want to bring in
they
a
brought
guy.
the guy in so that they could obviously it could go with a young lassie, right?
Yeah, so they mate some of them, and they want to try and keep a girl, which was the young girl, try and join them to then again increase the bloodline, I suppose.
Yeah.
Two people. What I noticed was two people jumped off and died at the end of their life cycle, so they need to be replaced. So they've got the baby from the shagging, and they've got the new young blonde girl, so they've replaced. I don't know. That was just one of the things that I was thinking.
Obviously, they've got the people that they've killed, her boyfriend, and then her pals and stuff. That's what they made some sort of comment saying there need to be 9 folk or something. And I was like, no idea what the 9's in relation to.
That's because they've got to sacrifice that amount of people to their weird god because the strange, disabled, deformed child said so by writing it in crayons. Hope that clears it up.
Right, I missed that bit. That was the bit that obviously didn't make sense to me. All makes sense to me now.
If we're going to talk about a subject that comes up quite a lot when we watch movies, it's the boy had a fair wanger on him as he was running away.
It's not the most smashing Bobby we've seen.
No.
I was the fact he'd had it all hanging out, and then he decided after about 10 seconds it was going to cover it up.
He needed 2 hands to cover it, though.
It's not the best Bobby we've seen.
Well, we never got to see the Bobby last week, so we were quite disappointed with that. At least we got to see a Bobby this time.
Do you want Ella's before I pass it on to someone else? Or
Go for
it.
No, let's keep Ellis at the end. Sean, I'm sure you've got lots to say about this, or very little.
I was just kind of going over what you've said. It was really weird. I found myself strangely drawn in by it, though. I didn't really know what was going on. I had a rough idea what was going on. I didn't really kind of fully understand, but I found myself just a bit intrigued throughout. I think intrigued's the right word for it. I don't really understand the way it ended in terms of she got made the queen, and then her partner was then chosen to be sacrificed, like the 9th sacrificed person. And
sorry, jump in, but she picked him though, didn't she?
Aye, that's what I was saying. So she picked him. So, and then she's smiling at the end. Like, this is all happened in the space of not even 9 days, remember? So she's went over, and then 9 days later, I'm assuming it's on the 9th day. Let's just say it is if it was never kind of made clear. On the 9th day, she's happy and settled with these random Swedish people that she's just met, and I just didn't really understand. Like, has she been brainwashed in the 9 days?
No.
She out her face at that point. That part, I
She's
was
a-
just a bit
The
confused.
boyfriend was a wanker from start to finish, basically.
She remember she's dealing with.
I wouldn't
she's
say her
dealing with.
boyfriend was a wanker. I'd say his
Oh,
pal
he
was a
totally
wanker.
was.
Oh, he was a wanker.
That was what I picked up
boyfriend.
as the full actual reason for the film. Was to show
I
how
didn't even care it was a
Obviously,
birthday, for fuck's sake.
Oh, well, obviously he was wanting to kind of leave. He was talking to his pals at the start and that, but he wasn't really sure on it. I didn't really think he was like that much of a dick. His pal who was in We Are the Millers, I forget his name, with the fucking eyebrows. He was a dick.
Remember that she saw him shagging the lassie, and then she
I
had
know,
like a
but there's
breakdown.
context behind that. I mean, he had been drugged like 4 times in the space of half an hour, and then he was put in there. I'm not
But
saying the
also,
context
he
behind
gets
it. She
told-
perhaps should have asked.
He gets
Just
told,
condemning him
he
his
gets
death.
told before he gets drugged that if you take it,
Aye.
then you become open to basically pumping her.
But
And he's like, I'll have some of that.
Before the boyfriend shagged the ginger lassie, she's wenching guts an Opella too.
Ah, exactly, aye. But aye, like all that aside, like I find myself strangely drawn in. I'm not a massive fan of kind of weird films like this. And I was I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I thought it was going to be like a kind of very kind of similar kind of. I suppose in a way it was kind of similar to Hereditary. 'Cause it's the same boy, but I was expecting it to be more on the horror side rather than the kind of thriller side. But I mean, I don't know. I came away from it just kind of like both me and Laurie watched it. You can imagine her reaction. But like, we just kind of looked at each other and thought, "What the fuck just happened there?" It's like that last half hour was just wild. Like that bit with the sex scene and all the women around them are like humming and clapping and like it was just really really bizarre. And whoever's wrote it, I mean, it's questionable that somebody can come up with stuff like this. The scene with the cliff, with the old man and woman dying on the cliff, when they jumped, but when the woman thought it was the woman that jumped off first, and her head just caved in against the rock, and you could see it was just like split. That was absolutely disgusting. And then when his head go, like obviously he jumped leg first, they showed his legs. That was disgusting. And then obviously he already touched. They just pummeled his fucking head in a couple of times for good measure. But it was. I don't really know what to say, to be honest with you. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I don't know if I enjoyed it or if I didn't enjoy it. I don't know. It was quite a weird watch, and I kind of came away from it feeling quite weird as well. If that makes sense.
You sound a bit distressed by this. If anyone can shed some light or help and support Sean throughout this, just reach out to him, please.
I mean, I will definitely not be going back for a second watch to get a better understanding of it. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't bored during it. I think it was just obviously I kind of knew something was. Well, you obviously know something's going on because they're not acting like normal people, but I just wasn't sure what kind of route it was going to go down. I thought that, like I said to Laurie when she was doing when they were doing the wee dance off thing, if you can call it a dance off, I said, I bet you she'll win and then she'll be impregnated. I thought that's what was going to happen. I never knew she was going to be made the queen. But it was just really weird. And then they were trying to shove a fish in her gob. It was just really weird. Like you never really knew what was going to happen next. It was just bizarre. So I'll end this with saying that I was intrigued throughout, and then came out the other end knowing just as much as I did going into it.
That's a very, very good explanation of that movie there. Hunter, had you seen this one before being forced to watch it today?
No, as you know, the horror isn't really my genre, and actually horrors going by The Lighthouse are definitely not my genre. But as I say, I compared it to The Lighthouse and Hereditary. It's better than them, but similar to Sean, I am still I don't know if I feel underwhelmed, overwhelmed. I don't have a clue what the fuck's going on. So kind of when it started off, it kind of gave you a bit of premise, a bit of background. You're like, hey, this is going somewhere. And then even when they get there to Sweden, you're kind of, something's building up. When you just turn up in some random field and guys like, here, there's a bag of mushies battering, and you're like, what is going on here? And everyone's, it's weird. I said, I sending. Firstly, how are they getting these Swedish commune cult kids into fucking American universities without having?
So a chosen one being sent out.
They're getting taught to fucking carve things and put under their pillow. Is that a school today? And yet they've managed to go and get fucking degrees and obtain pals to be fucking sacrificed. But that aside, I was kind of up to when I was kind of one of the kind of things. I think because it is quite gruesome, and that was kind of what took me aback was the old folk jumping off the cliff, especially. Obviously, you seen the head came in from a distance, but you could tell what had happened. But it was when you seen that leg pointing out at a fucking completely different wrong angle. I was like, I had to actually hold my hand up in front of my eyes at that point. I just couldn't watch it. And I was like, you know what? That's the first time I've seen had a horror film do that to me in a long time, especially one of these new generational ones. However, after that, it just got weirder and weirder and weirder. Like, for me, I felt like they skimmed over. Even obviously, there was some filler stuff in it that didn't need to be there, like the thesis of Hulk. That added nothing to it. But so when they've obviously were sacrificed, I wish you'd seen maybe more of the sacrificing of the other folk that were there, because I felt like that was rushed just so they could squeeze in so much more of this weird shit at the end.
More dancing.
Aye. Like obviously that Will Poulter gets dragged away with that lassie. Next thing you know, he come back, he's got some sort of mad weird face watching his pal get his head caved in that temple. Like the explanation that the other guy, when the boy that was there for England with the Dungarees lassie, he just disappears. He didn't know. Next thing you know, he's a bed for chickens with flowers in his eyes.
Aye, like it's like the is that his lungs beating at the back of him?
Aye. Like
do you know what creeped me out about that scene the most was the guy Christians walked in and seen him, knows exactly who it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very distinctive guy. You know who that's your pal. Why did he have to go underneath him and go so close up to his face to get the clarification he was looking for?
I know.
That just threw me. I was like, what the fuck? And then then it was like watching something for WWE, blew the smoke in his face, and then he's knocked out. Well, we're looking for the credits. Is Vince McMahon being involved in this?
Vince McMahon's been involved in a lot.
Well, even Vince McMahon would make this look creepy. Oh well, Hunter. Let's bring stop you there now and bring Burnsy in. Again, I'm going to assume this is a first time watch Burnsy.
Yeah, it was. Well done.
One for one so far.
I feel sorry for you to start off with it. I picked these two together, considering we had two really light-hearted and sort of fun ones this week. I didn't realise this obviously when I picked them originally, otherwise we could have spaced them out.
Well, to be fair, let's just recall you picked your two favourites out of the four partners first.
I didn't say that. I said it was my favourite films.
No, it was the favourites. That's the way it was worded, I'm sure. I already felt Laurie. She was grateful.
I know. I think you said after it she was really happy with my score as well. In fact, I scored them both higher than both the girlfriends did the last time as well. So
you did.
But I wasn't what I was expecting, because obviously when I saw it as a horror, I was like, it didn't find any parts scarier. That obviously it was just bizarre and weird and strange more than anything. To pick up on, I think it was Kel's point about why they didn't leave early in the movie, I just put that down to how obviously the boyfriend, he was doing his thesis on it, and so was one of his pals, and obviously at that point the girlfriend was just going on with whatever he was saying, so I just put it down to that. But I get what you were saying for that point. As you've sort of spoke about as Danny, I thought was the actress that played Danny was really good. The rest of them were okay. There wasn't anyone that stood out for me. And I did think that the film was sort of based on just loosely based on obviously the toxic relationship between Danny and Christian, because he was just an absolute wank for the very start. I thought, in terms of our families all died and that, and he's like, as if he's been forced to comfort her. Doesn't he want her on the holiday? And he's like telling his pals, like, "Oh, go and say that we asked her, that you wanted her to come," and all this stuff. It was just, everyone was based on lies. It was as if he was trying to like gaslight her. That was the part I picked up.
Do you know
from
what?
it.
It's interesting you say that. It actually feels like I've watched like it's two separate movies there, because that first part where they're in America and they're like planning the trip, and she's obviously having like huge issues with her family and there's loads of problems there. That was really interesting. Like I thought they could have had a lot more to that. A lot less
I think
dancing.
now that obviously our family died, though, there's only so far they could go with it. If they built it up maybe longer, and he was sort of, her boyfriend was even like making her doubt what her, like, she's saying, "Oh, she's always like that, just forget about it and move on." And was there no something about a party or something as well? And he was, the night that, or the night after all them had died, and he was wanting to go to a party and stuff. It was just like,
I'm just going to go for 45 minutes.
You just an
I thought
absolute
that was the
weirdo.
night after.
Well, didn't they say in about 3 weeks after? It was as if it was still in turmoil at that stage, and he's like, "I'm going out for a party." That's what I picked up anyway. But the suicides, the two suicides were revolting, but it was that revolting. It was kind of when they came up with the hammer, I actually found it amusing, because it was like, why are you going this far? And why did it have to be off a absolute huge cliff? You know what I mean? It was also just taking it to extremes. Similar to Sean, though, is like, I didn't have any issue sticking with it. It did draw you into it, and it was really weird. I think because obviously it had been up in the votes that many times, I was expecting it to be like something that was going to blow me away, but it was definitely something that was fairly random but enjoyable at the same time. But I won't be going back to watch it again, though. I don't think there's that much I'd be interested in picking up, but it was fairly interesting. I think all these have sort of covered the points well, and then the bit that I found the weirdest was, like you say, when Danny's boyfriends with that younger lass, and all of them are sort of humming beside it and everything, and all of them are naked. It was just
that wife leans down and holds his face.
I know.
Oh, it was just.
And then she like leans
what...
back, and she's like, "I can feel the baby inside me."
Oh, aye. I don't. The bit I get with some, when you see scenes like that, I'm thinking, how does somebody come up with this and think, you know what, this is what scene we're going to do for a film? It's like, how do some people's minds think we're going to have all these people naked, our pals, and also humming beside it, and then obviously some of the things they were saying to each other. What age was this lassie meant to be as well? Was she meant to have been? I'm assuming she was meant to be of age.
Well, she had her pants license, so I don't know what that actually means.
I think, so what I picked up, I think whatever she was at the end of her spring, so becoming summer, so what was that, 18?
Right, okay.
Years each cycle, I'm assuming, so she'd have been 18, I think. I think the whole idea is that as soon as they get to their summer, and that's why they do it at midsummer.
Right.
So she's in the summer of her life. I can't believe I'm trying to explain this. It sounds so stupid when I'm saying it.
Well,
I just went in that route, but because she looked that young, that's why I questioned it. Like, they obviously portrayed her to look. The actress might have been mid-20s or something, but obviously they made her face look as if she could be like 16 or younger, based on the way it was looked. That's why when we question it in terms of what route was the film going down, and because of how bizarre it was, it wouldn't have surprised me if that was like an extra part, and then in the ending, as I was quite glad that weird, creepy, annoying boyfriend got killed, because he was very annoying. And then I think obviously her smell at the end was more to show that I picked up was that although she's finally realised what he's like, he's never probably cared about her. And although I don't know if she's fully invested in this cult, but she's like, I can actually trust these strangers more than this person who she's been in love with, and he's maybe just played her the full time.
Very well put, Ponzi.
Thanks.
Check you. Well, just a little note on the midsummer conceptions. It says here the strange mating ritual in the movie has very little to do with actual midsummer celebrations in Sweden. It is, however, a fact that 9 out of the 10 most common birthday dates in Sweden are all during April, which is 9 months after the midsummer of July.
Shagging festival.
Basically, it's just a big shagging festival that folk go to.
I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this, right? See if this was called midwinter and it was pitch black instead of daylight all the time. I know how, because usually they're saying it wasn't scary, right? I think the reason it wasn't scary is because it was bright daylight constantly. So it's like, see the scene where the guy was hanging up, like you said, Kyle, and he walks like up to his face underneath him. Imagine that was like by candlelight. And
Yeah. The thing is, I think it's a different type of scary. Like, I think if you were to be in that scenario and all these folk are dressed a certain way and they're all doing big massive circle dances and they're all congregating together, like it's a bit creepy. Like,
definitely creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like the Bonus Fair Day.
Aye.
I actually wrote that down. I forgot to mention it.
But we had the fair day recently. There was.
Because I was going to ask you how it was. Was it any similarity?
Any rituals?
The annual fucking cult here in Bowness. And I slag off Sarah for this for the Linlithgow side of it. Have you guys ever heard of Linlithgow's Torch Festival?
No.
Well, once a year, the residents of Linlithgow walk from one end of Linlithgow to the other, carrying torches.
So it's like basically an orange walk, really.
Fire on a stick. And there's like shows and all that in the street, and there's fucking folk out with their candy floss and all that, as all these folk walk down the street carrying sticks with fire on it.
That's, I'm sorry, but that's still better than folk making the house look like Hogwarts.
Well, Beauty and the Beast this year, so they've still got them up now in the street, but the night of...
So funny. I saw a large amount of people trying to sell these sort of things on Facebook. It's like, who wants that? Do you want to turn your house into a castle from the outside? Like, what the fuck?
Well, from where I live, there's maybe about, within the same street, 3 or 4 of them all got their houses all done. And the street was heaving, had to close off the street. There was police around making sure that people could move the cars. They had a marching band came through the streets. This is all the night before the fair day, called Faireen. I'm getting in with the lingo. But the family along the street that had a huge one right up their townhouse, absolutely massive. They had like stalls out with like burgers and drink, and you could just help yourself to it as you were walking around.
That sounds alright. Just maybe didn't have all the things that
But you have to picture as well, like there's guys here dressed in suits, there's women in ball gowns.
And you got it with your pants on.
I went out with a t-shirt and a pair of shorts on with a dog and Poppy and took a walk around. It was just, honestly, it's so weird to watch how much people invest into this. And for those listening that have never seen anything like this, people will remortgage their house to put something on their building. And what's crazy about the things like the selection process of who becomes queen and all this kind of stuff is kids in the school decide who gets a part of this. So you just get told your son's going to be X in this. You need to put on a big show at your house. It's going to cost you 30 grand.
You know what's funny, right? I started this off by saying I bet gullible Americans think Europe's actually like this, and it turns out it is. Like, even, like we've got these fucking weird, fucking stupid festivals.
Oh, I used to think Camelin Manor's Day was cool when they all had the floats made up in the vans and would drive around the streets.
It's all weird. It's all fucking weird. Gala days and all that pish. Is it only a Scottish folk that have gala days and that? Like, I don't think anywhere else have stuff like that. Just a random day of the year where you celebrate your own wee town.
But the schools get switched. Like, the schools are off and everything for this. You can't take your way out on holiday during the school year, but they can turn it off to have a fair day. Creepy.
I feel like we've spoken too much about the Bonus Fair here.
Creepy weirdo bastards. A lot of them. Let's get Ella's thoughts though on the movie that you picked for her.
So I've not read this yet. Hold on. So, if my boyfriend cheated on me, I would also want him to burn in hell, and I would settle for setting his belongings on fire, though. Setting him alight inside a real bear seems a little bit extreme. Fuck's sake. However, if we had saw more of her losing her mind and her sanity in the cult, I think it would have seemed a lot more believable. So not enough about the main lassie losing her mind. I'd love to say a lot more, but Daniel gave me 4 minutes notice to give this review. I might put him inside a bear suit.
I feel like she had a message for you there, Daniel, in that.
That's that. I feel like that full review wasn't a review. It was actually just a warning to me to give her more notice.
Just one eye open when you're sleeping beside her, Daniel. She's going to cut you at some point.
She might just put her clothes on fire though, so you might be all right.
It could. It's clothes on fire or getting put inside a bear.
So when you put your clothes on fire, so I've got this bear fancy dress costume for you to wear. That's when you start getting worried.
Well, let's start off again. Ella's score for the movie. In the 4 minutes prep time that you give her, did you get a score from her?
Yes, Ella's giving me a 3 out of 5.
A 3 out of 5.
In this 4 minutes notice, I told her at the time you'll need to send me a review. I just didn't remind her until 4 minutes before.
Well, let's be honest. You didn't actually even let her pick a movie, so.
No, it's her fucking movie.
No chance. Ella, we're not believing that you picked this. Daniel, what's your score then? Are you going to match up with your better half?
I enjoyed this a little bit more. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Sean?
I'm going to give it a 2.5.
2.5. Hunter?
2.5 for me as well.
2.5. Burnsy?
2.5 for me too.
God, nearly a full house in that because I'm also giving it a 2.5. Burnsy, I'll give you a little bit extra time to work out the maths here because you've got 6 scores to deal with this week.
That's a 2.75.
At 2.75. See, when I slag you off and I'm like, oh, you'll need time to work out where it is, I always forget to get myself to the point where roughly it's going to be on the leaderboard so I can then have that. So I need to stall for time.
It's because there's that many 2.5s. You made it easy for me this week.
So a 2.5 for Midsummer. It puts it alongside another incredibly weird movie, Drive.
No, 2.75 it got.
Oh, do you know what? I've wrote 2.75 down. I'm saying 2.5. 2.75 puts it absolutely bang on beside another incestual movie, Back to the Future. How weird is that, isn't it? We must have incest is in the middle ground for us guys.
It is weird how often incest comes up in these films we watch. Like, what is this about? Because there was definite incest in this movie. It's not just us like thinking that incest was a theme of the movie.
Well, before we move on to the next movie, I had a question for you guys. This is basically, I'd seen this on Twitter, and it's also something that's come up to me recently a lot in regards to a recent movie. But what is the biggest movie that you haven't seen that shocks people when you tell them you've not seen it? So, Burnsy, this is every movie. This is basically your life for the last 10 years up until now. But the reason it comes up is a topical one is Top Gun. The new Top Gun is in the cinema at the moment. I've not seen the original. And when I tell people that I've not seen Top Gun, I get that completely disappointed look in their face as soon as I tell them. So I want to know your guys' movie that people judge you when you've not seen it.
It used to be Back to the Future, but I've seen that now. I'll need to have a think.
Anybody else can jump in, guys.
Yeah. See, remember, Sean had never seen Shawshank before this. That's usually a big one.
That's what I was going to say there.
But you've seen it now.
Probably The Green Mile is the first one that comes to head. Or no, the Godfather 2.
Well, I can get that for you. You didn't like The Godfather.
That. So I'm not.
That's not unusual, but most people like The Godfather, so they want to watch the second one. That's maybe what surprises folk.
Don't know, it's a hard one to answer. I'd probably say The Godfather 2 or Green Mile. I've not seen either.
I guess maybe probably be Schindler's List, I think.
But you've seen that.
Think
Aye,
of
I've
films that you've
seen it
not
now.
seen.
Or one I've not seen. Well, I don't know. You tell me. Or any good film with anything that we've not watched is what I've not seen.
Everything that's not on this list.
That's what I was meaning. More one that I hadn't watched before we started that would probably surprise people.
Okay, got it.
Because I had to reword the question to suit myself. I've not seen any of the Lord of the Rings at all.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one.
You were so nearly watching them this week, though. You were so nearly, so close. Hunter, anything for you that jumps out that people say?
I can't think. Again, probably like similar to Bumsy, I've not watched any of the Lord of the Rings. It just didn't interest me. So I've tried them, but like I've never completed one. So because I've not completed one, I've not bothered with the rest. But the only one that kind of maybe even shocks myself that I've not seen is Casino. Considering I love they kind of movies, I've never seen Casino.
Wow.
There we go. There's the reaction I was looking for. So
I'm shocked. I'm shocked by that. That's actually shocked me.
I used to confidently say to people that I thought Casino was my favourite ever movie.
It's a good movie, like we should probably watch it soon.
For a long time, that was up there as my. I'd probably even go so far to maybe put it in my top 10. Awfully good movie. No other takers, Sean. Any thoughts? Daniel, did you think of anything else?
Yeah, I've never watched a full Indiana Jones movie. I've only really seen bits, clips, and stuff. Never seen Indiana Jones. Doesn't interest me.
I think I watched it as a child, but I've never watched it as an adult. I've never seen Alien.
I've not seen any of the new Star Wars
Alien?
movies. Alien?
Yeah, is that a film?
Aye.
I've not seen it.
Oh, what?
Alien is incredible.
I've seen the one with Adrian Brody.
Oh,
I've seen that, but I've not seen the original Arnie one. I've also not seen.
That's Predator.
That's Predator.
What's Alien? That's right. I've not seen Predator. I've not seen Alien or Predator. But I get mixed up with the two all the time. No, I have seen
They
Predator.
are in the same universe, so I'll give you that.
I have seen Predator.
Wait, what? Have you seen Predator or not seen Predator?
I think I have.
You seen Adrian Brody's Predator?
No, I've definitely seen that, but I think I've seen Arnie's one. See, I get the two films mixed up all the time because it's two beasts.
You've not seen Alien then?
I've definitely not seen Alien, no.
Right.
Definitely not.
Oh man, Alien is absolutely epic.
No my thing at all.
My choices are if I get in the wheel again, it's going to be Alien and Predator. That's decided.
what about Alien versus Predator? So you've got two birds, one stone.
Sean will come on and start talking about Predator from a review and Alien instead.
I tried to watch the Alien Predator universe in chronological order recently, and it starts off with those mid movies, see in between the originals and the ones that have had bigger budgets on them. See your 2006 to 2007 low budget Alien Predator movies. It starts there, and it was just torture, man, watching it. I think I got halfway through the second film and I was like, I'm just not going to bother with this.
Funnily enough, there's a new Predator movie coming out that looks good. I saw the trailer when I went to see Thor, and it's set back in caveman times, and the Predator comes, and it's looks good.
I feel like I read this. Who's going to be in that?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. I got too excited when Thor came and I forgot everything else that happened.
Well, listen, let's move on to the next movie that we did have. Laura had decided to select In Bruges, which is a film that I feel like I have watched previously, but I had no recollection of it whatsoever. But a guilt-stricken after a job gone wrong, hitman Ray and his partner await orders from their ruthless boss in Bruges, Belgium, the last place in the world Ray wants to be. Hunter, we'll come to you first for your thoughts.
Right, so this was the first time I'd watched it in a few years, and I fairly enjoyed this. I think it's class. I mean, there's no beating about the bush. Colin Farrell is the best thing in this film by a country mile. Just some of his mannerisms. I was watching it with Laura last night, and she was saying he's just like a big Wayne, and that's what he is. Just like some of the way he talks and acts. Obviously the bit when he sees the dwarf walking across the sort of the what would you call it, the promenade or the town centre or whatever, and he's like waving at him, and he doesn't wave back. He's like, little fucking cunt. I mean, it's just kind of so. Although obviously you kind of go, like, it's not. It is very British in its humour that's in it, and I think that's kind of why it hits home. And kind of like, and there's a good sort of few good rib tickling moments in it. I mean, it did kind of run away. But I mean, who's it? The guy that was playing Harry?
Oh, I forget his name.
Ralph
Fiennes. Aye.
Aye.
I just to be talking about that sort of proper sort of London gangster accent. Like, I mean, they've just done it. All I think he was missing was a wee bit of rhyming song, and they could have had Danny Dyer playing that role, just the way he was talking. But it was just kind of like everything just all sort of fitted in. I mean, it's not going to win any awards. I mean, the chemistry between Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. I mean, they're like total chalk and cheese. You wonder like how they ever became associates in the first place. Obviously, it kind of builds up. It does have that sort of nice wee twist at the end where Brendan Gleeson sort of sacrifices himself so that he can save Colin Farrell's life, and kind of obviously there is a love and a friendship there, even though 20 minutes before in the film he was ready for shooting him when he was sitting on that park bench.
Which was also a really weird scene. It was that scene was a really for me it was a weird one. It's like you've stopped the guy that you're going to kill from killing himself.
Yeah.
And then you felt sorry now that you'll let him go because he's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I know it was weird in the sense, but it was like maybe seeing him with a gun against his own head, realised obviously he's just following orders, he's thinking about protecting his own life at that point maybe, but then maybe seeing him with a gun against the head makes him realise what he's actually going to do. It's like, oh shit, we'll take a step back here and actually reevaluate the situation. But I mean, it's so weird how they've basically gone from both trying to kill Colin Farrell's character to then they're sitting in some wee hut in a park talking life over. But so it's fairly enjoyable. Highly recommend it. Like, it's a very easy watch. There's nothing too overcomplicated with it, and that's it. It's a good watch. Can't say nothing more about it.
There we go. We're going to keep going with the order it had previously, but in a different way. Burnsy, you come in next. I'll let us know your first ever watch of this again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was.
2 for 2 this week. 2 for 2.
I was quite surprised with this. I've not really got that much to say, I don't think. But I thought Colin Farrell was class. The relationship, the friendship they had between Ray and Ken's characters, you could see the sort of warmth between them, and how obviously Ken was completely torn about thinking I'm going to have to kill him because otherwise I'm dead. But he was obviously that torn about doing it. The addition of like the dwarf into the film, I thought that allowed it to have quite a lot of comedy moments with like when they're taking the cocaine with the prostitutes and talking about a war between blacks and whites and stuff like that, like, and then just seeing how they reacted to it all. I thought that was, if it didn't have them and the woman who he was sort of, I can't remember what the woman's name was, that started with a C, I think, Chloe or something like that. I think obviously because it had they were able to sort of build a bit of comedy to it with those scenes, it definitely helped. Otherwise, it might have been a bit too serious. And I think Colin Farrell's character as well, you could sort of see how, you know, although he was this hitman, as he was obviously like really upset about what had happened in the past, or how he'd killed the child by mistake. And so although he gave off this personality as if he could do nothing wrong, he was like this big shot to an extent, as you did see sort of then his feelings on the inside too. The bit I thought was quite ridiculous was like when Ken falls for the top of the square and then he's still, I don't know how high it was, however many feet it was, and he's still alive to that point. He can tell Ray, by the way, you better shoot, here's my gun.
We just needed 4 folk to come up and cave his head in with a big mallet. That's what it was.
Exactly where I was going with that. It was as if the director for those scenes has been the same person in both films, that they thought somebody could survive that. But it was enjoyable. again, it's not something I would go back to again because I think it's not something you would maybe pick up from. But I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it, and it was similar to the previous film in terms of I didn't feel myself switching off from it at all. It was good enough that you were constantly wondering what was happening next. I wasn't that fussed about the sort of chase at the end, how he was like in the hotel, etc. That didn't really land for me that well. But it was enjoyable.
Fair play, fair play. I struggled to understand what genre this movie was coming into. Like,
Yeah.
Was it a comedy? Was it a black comedy? Was it drama? Was it a thriller? Like, I feel like it's tried to dabble in all of them, but not really hit home in any of them. I had a couple of cheap laughs at Colin Farrell. I'm not a fan of watching Colin Farrell. Even in like Phone Booth or something like that, I was never really a big fan of him. I don't find him overly funny. The only kind of scene that I did have a good chuckle at was when the American fat family where he was having a go at them, and like, when the big fella's trying to catch him, I thought that was funny. But I found that even funnier that they continued the joke with Ken. So when Ken seen them as well, he then made another comment. That part was funnier because it was longer, and like it tied in. I don't know. I felt like Colin Farrell's character was just obviously I understand that he's guilt ridden from what he's done, but he's an arsehole. He's a mopey faced arsehole that was really unlikable. I don't know. It was just. I think this is one of these movies where it's like quite quirky and it's drawn in with quite good characters in it. And Colin Farrell was at probably the height of his career at that point, which makes this maybe a bit more popular, a bit more well regarded than what it is. This wasn't for me. I found this a lot harder to watch in Midsummer. So there's some thoughts. Daniel, take it away with yours.
I didn't expect that, first of all. I'm going to disagree on Colin Farrell. I think Colin Farrell was quite underrated. He's been in a lot of shite, which doesn't help. So, I mean, he's made some bad movie choices, but I think when he picks a good movie, that he does well. I quite enjoyed this. I found myself, my score in my mind going up and up as I've watched the movie. The first maybe 20 minutes, I was kind of not all that drawn in by it. And then I just sort of found myself slowly getting involved in the story, and time just started going by really quickly. So I was enjoying it. And then a bit like Burnsy, my thoughts are a bit of a mismatch with all three of you, because with Burnsy at the end, and it sort of fell apart for me a wee bit at the end. I quite liked when they got to the hotel and he was upstairs and the other one was downstairs. But from the moment where they said, like, I'm going to jump in the canal and you go chase him in the corner, and he was running through the streets shooting and running and all that, I don't know, I kind of lost it at that point, because early on they were trying to be discreet by going up to the tower to have their whatever they were going to do. Now he's just running through the middle of the city shooting his gun randomly. Like, I don't know. But overall, so I really enjoyed it. So my score went up and up and up, and then at the end it came down a wee bit. But I really enjoyed Colin Farrell's sort of pattern, because it was kind of a believable dickhead. Like, everyone, he's like a mate everyone's got, right? See, if he's your mate, you stand up for him, even though you know he's a dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know that you wouldn't take him in certain situations. You wouldn't take him to certain parties because you know he'd be too much of a dick and then would annoy everybody. We've all got mates like that, and he seems like a really believable sort of character. He tries to keep up the sort of bravado, but he's guilt-ridden and all this sort of shit. But I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure the people listening have got mates like that, but we don't have mates like that, guys, because we're all sound as fuck.
That's when you want it. If you don't think you're that, if you don't think, oh, I've not got a mate like that, then you're that mate.
Is that me? Am I that guy?
You're the guy.
Oh,
I mean, judo chopping your tail like Colin Farrell, so maybe it is.
I really enjoyed the music in this. Just for the very start, I don't know what it was about it. It seemed to tie in with every scene that was going on throughout it, and it made me. Did it make you want to go to Bruges?
No.
Aye, I'd go back to Belgium in a heartbeat. I love it out there.
Brussels is nice.
It is.
Good beer.
Yeah.
I've been to most places in Europe, but I've not been to Belgium. I've gone past it. I've gone through it in a train. So,
Counts.
that counts.
That counts. Sean.
I've seen this before. I was glad when it was picked as well, because I was expecting True Romance, because obviously it's been mentioned so many times. So I was quite
Hunter
happy
let
with.
his missus actually pick. Daniel, never mind.
Aye, so obviously I think Hunter even said that Laura's a bit kind of worried now that it's been built up that much that we might absolutely shit on it. But I like this as well. I think it's such an easy watch, and I think Colin Farrell's amazing. I really like Colin Farrell. I don't know if any of you have seen The Gentleman, but he's also really good in that as well. A completely different character for this, but I watched that recently. And
I see on my Instagram there's one scene for The Gentleman
aye,
every day.
Aye, with the wee, we'll call them Neds because that's what they are.
Aye, and it makes me want to watch it because it's a really good scene.
It's a good film.
I would say it's good, aye. But I just think this is such an easy watch. I think him and is it Brendan Gleeson? That's his name, isn't it?
One that I was touted to look like.
Aye, that was
it, guys.
They just worked really, really well on camera. They were absolutely brilliant. I loved Harry. I thought he was class. Just your typical fucking gangster prick, but just you would kind of be scared of him though because he just is a bit mental. But he's like not scary to look at. Like he's not intimidating to look at. Like going by like when they were trying to get up the tower and that guy's like we're shut and he's like poking his forehead and all that. He's just standing there. I was pushing myself at that, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm getting all fucking mixed up my words tonight. But I just find that an easy watch. Like when I enjoy a film, I don't really know what to say on it. I wish I didn't like it so I could say more about it. I seem to say more about stuff that I don't like than I do like. But no, I do like this. I can understand why it kind of lost its way at the end a wee bit. Like when he was running down the alleyway and he's trying to shoot him and he's literally like about 15 yards behind him and he can't put a bullet in him. But when he's on a boat and he's at about I don't know 200 yards away from him, he manages to hit him 3 times or whatever. I found that a wee bit silly. But again, that kind of stuff happens in films all the time. But it never really kind of lost me that much at the end. It was what it was. It just had a wee chase through the streets. Him jump off the clock tower to warn them about him coming. He obviously knew he was going to survive. It would have been a bit kind of hangy if he died. It would have been totally pointless. But nah, I enjoyed it. I would definitely watch it again. Twice I've seen it now.
I will say one of my favourite parts of the film is when he shoots the blanket at the boy's eye.
I like that.
That's quite a good scene because there's obviously like a setup that they've had to take advantage of him, but because he is like an assassin and he's confident and he can defend himself. I quite like how he dealt with that scenario, but he dealt with it in a bit of banter as well. Like he was embarrassed for the guy that was trying to rob him, which I thought was quite cool because it is one of those situations where that could be realistic. Like if somebody's tried to do that to somebody who can deal with that situation, they'll find that funny.
Do you know what else was good as well? And it kind of fit in with his kind of ignorant character when he was in the restaurant and he had the argument with the couple and he punched both of them, the boy and the woman, and then later on when he's in the train and he gets lifted, he was basically calling them stupid Yanks. And then the boy comes up and goes, did you punch Canadian? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about, punch Canadian? And then obviously it turns out they're Canadian and he just sits and goes, Canadian. But again, it just shows that kind of ignorance to the actual character that he is, because he's got an ignorant guy, but he's a lovable ignorant guy, I think.
Aye, I agree with that. The thing is, and I think there's a theme to what Kyle was saying as well. It's not just that scene, there's loads of scenes where, like you mentioned Brendan Gleeson going up with a gun, he's about to shoot him, but then they end up like being pally. Like every bad thing that happens, like it's almost like Colin Farrell's character is apologising for it or not wanting it. And even right at the very end, it carries on. Because when your main guy, Harry, was about to shoot himself in the mouth, and even though he was trying to kill Colin Farrell was trying to tell him the truth and tell him not to do it. Because he was trying to say it was a dwarf instead of a wee boy. Because that's why he shot himself, because he thought it was a wee boy.
Yeah.
You laugh at me because I I don't know what's the
Little Freudian slip there, Daniel.
because we've got an episode named with midgets in it. So
Is your name not attached to that title as well?
but who fucking likes the title?
Some arsehole. that dodgy pal that you wouldn't take to any parties. Cheers, guys. That's why I'm so lonely.
You wouldn't go anyway.
Okay, fuck that. I don't want to socialise with you, bums.
That's fair
You
enough.
live in the middle of nowhere. That's why you're fucking miles away from everything.
I live in midsummer Sweden.
Mhm.
I'll invite you guys over when the next fucking, I didn't know what the event's called, but when they're walking with their sticks of fire and on Lithgow, I'll invite you over to walk with us.
Aye, so you can sacrifice yourself.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not pumping money, so you'll be getting sacrificed. I want to be pumping. I want to be pumping these again. So, what did Laura have to say about this one?
Aye, so again, similar to Ella, so I text her about 6:30 and says I'm going to do a wee review for the night, and she went, "Oh, what? This is very on the spot. What you've got to do? Come down." So she then texted me back, and this put, "Okay, a very different kind of film for me to enjoy. You get dark humour and seriousness both at the same time. The funny bits are funny, even funnier, and the serious bits really get you thinking. It's Colin Farrell at his best." And then she asked, "Do you need more?" But I said, "No, that's fine," because I was the one to flat him. So we'll go with the few sentences that she's given us very kindly.
Did she manage to give you a score?
She did, yes.
Go for it.
That score is, it was originally a 3.75, but then spoiler alert, that was going to be my score. So she's upped it back to what she would have scored it just based on the one viewing she had previously, which is a 4.
So let's get it straight. So you've said, I'm going to score at this, and she's went, fuck you, I'm going to go one better than you.
No, because she went, no, we can't even do the same because everyone will think we've just confirmed scores.
But you have anyway.
Anyway.
Well, Hunter, I feel like this is like a real flex in your relationship where she's went, I'm a wee bit ahead of you.
I think that's it. Yep, definitely.
I really like that her solution to conferring scores. We don't want to confer in scores, so let's confer in the scores to make sure we're conferring in the scores.
No, when I asked her before we watched it, she did have it scored at a 4 before we rewatched it, and then she went to 3.75, but she went, no, you go back to the 4 because you've.
I appreciate how seriously she's taken this, to be honest. Yeah. She's actually given this so much more thought than any one of us 5.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because she's panicked about having an hour to think about what she's going to say. I don't think about what I'm going to say until we hit record.
I know that.
I know. Sometimes I think on the spot.
I watch a movie and it shuts off and I forget about it until we start talking.
Sometimes I forget about it when we are talking, and then once we're finished, then I think, oh shit, I forgot to talk about that every time.
Fair play. Well, let's carry on with the scores. Hunter, you said a 3.75, didn't you?
Yep.
Go on, just one upper. She's going to say, Laura, do you know what? I'm better than you. 4.25. Go for it. I dare you.
No, 3.75.
Tried, yeah. I did try. Burnsy.
I'm going to give it a 3.
A 3. Daniel?
I'm the same as Hunter. I'm a 3.75.
Oh, shot Dunter's back. Sean?
A 3.75 as well for me. I was going to give it a 4, but a 3.75.
Sean, what's the score the same as the rest of us? So.
You have to make sure that he's just a little bit below Laura. Well, I'll tell you what, Laura, fuck you. I'm going to half your score and give it a 2.
Oh,
Jesus.
It just was not for me. I maybe need to rewatch it again. I watched it on a flight as well, and then I don't know. It's one of the few films that has my full attention at all times, and it wasn't for me.
A second watch will help that. Yeah, I think you either like this or you don't.
Well, I won't watch it a second time then.
Wasted on you.
Yeah.
There's no dragons or lightsabers.
As if there's no car chases either.
That's a 3.38 overall.
Take your time there, Bunzy. Was that because we had 6 people rather than 5?
No, it's because you wouldn't let me speak. Everybody was interrupting.
We sat there in silence waiting for you.
I did it at that stage.
A 3.38, did you say?
Yeah.
A 3.38 puts this just behind a Bunzy favourite of Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh.
And just in front of some amazing movies that are here, way down here in the 50s. Battle Royale, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, 10 Things I Hate About You. This movie will be coming in at number 53 on our list. So we've got In Bruges coming in at 53 and Midsummer coming in at 83.
I feel like that's quite low for Midsummer. I thought everyone spoke quite highly of it, then just scored it shit.
But I wonder if is this one of those films that after you do have to watch it 2 or 3 times, because I sat there in disbelief when they folk died, and I didn't know what happened for the next 20 minutes after that.
I think if you're rewatching it, you would definitely be under the influence of hallucinogenics to properly take in where you've seen all the trees and plants all breathing and that when they were sitting there.
I definitely understand the difference between our viewing experiences now.
It's because we were all sober, Daniel.
This is why I understood it. It all made sense to me.
Well, as the only good boy in this group who doesn't dabble in anything at all, that won't be for me.
Hold on a minute, I'm fucking as clean as they come.
You can't be a basketball star and be on anything.
Oh, speaking of basketball stars, here's a movie for you to watch, guys. Has anybody watched Adam Sandler's Hustle?
No.
But I was thinking about it'd be good for this.
I watched it 2 nights ago. It's incredible. Absolutely
you're
fantastic.
just wanting to pick so you don't have to watch another film.
No, you're getting my picks. Bunzy, we can still change my picks right now. It's not been announced. I'll put them out there and change them right this second.
It's up to you. It's your picks.
Aye.
You want to watch 2 Lord of the Ring movies back to back?
Not particularly, no.
Well, if you do get the chance, guys, watch Hustle. It was very, very, very good. Before we go on to spin a wheel and find out what the category is for next week, we do have my picks. I did share them in the chat after much trying to get a rise out of you when I was bored at the airport to board my flight. Nobody was taking the bite for me to turn around and say that we were going to have Once Upon a Time in America. I had the screenshot ready and everything, guys. It was sitting there on my phone. I laid the bait out there, and then you fucking called me out on it, so I had to go quiet. But the 2 movies that we're going to watch one is Interstellar. Interstellar has been on my mind for about a month now of wanting to go back and watch this movie, so I'm going to make you all watch it with me. And then an absolute classic movie, which I'm going to say right now is going to be top 5. We're going to have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Initial thoughts?
Ambitious. I think you're being ambitious with that today.
Oh, come on! You've got the one of the best villains of any movie ever.
I've got a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest story for next week to go along with the movie.
There we go. Look, we're already on the ball with this. So Interstellar and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Guys, can you see my screen now? Yeah.
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 The most exciting part of the week, we're getting to spin the wheel. Sean, your name's still not on there, so haha, you don't get any more picks. Guys, any categories jumping out to you that you want to have, apart from your own name, obviously?
Trending on Netflix.
Trending on Netflix, we can have Hustle. Perfect.
Just for something different.
It could also be in sports movies too, so.
Sports movies. Too. I would like a trilogy. I feel like that's been there for ages and we keep teasing it and we've not done one yet.
We could do the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yes.
What I would love, and I don't know why, but I really want westerns.
Oh no.
I generally like westerns, but there's some good ones. There's some good ones.
I'd prefer that got removed for the wheel, to be honest.
Sean, have you got any preference?
Bunzy.
Just want Bunzy to pick movies. Well, the wheel can be spinning around. Let's get our fingers crossed for westerns. I wouldn't be against trilogies either.
Oh, I'm so close.
Oh, so close.
We seem to always get verses.
We do always, guys. I'd be happy to do another spin because I'm quite sick of verses.
Me too. Recently.
Man, fucking boring.
Right.
Democracy. Yeah, get it to fuck.
Versus is gone. Let's go again. That was versus actors for those that are listening that obviously can't see this.
It's going to land on versus actresses now. Versus
Oh,
directors.
spin it again.
Versus
directors.
Fuck
off.
Right, let's just get versus directors out of there as well. So versus directors is what it landed on, which we also don't want. It would be really funny if it landed back on me there, guys. We would have had to wait for me for a second week.
That's fine.
Oh.
What was that?
Oh,
Noise,
so
Buns?
close.
Was that Buns?
Aye, that was me.
Who selected TV scheduled movies? Because I don't actually understand what that means.
I think it's
don't know what
films
that
that are on films that are on the telly that week.
Okay. So not this week that we're currently in. The week after, it's going to be movies that are on the TV. Do we have any TV channels that we're going to choose? Please be it like E4 or fucking Film 4.
Well, I would imagine it would be anything that's available in Freeview, so that
No, well, you
it's
can do
easily
it.
accessible.
You can do it from any time from now on, though, because we can just record it, obviously.
It's
You
the
know,
same
you
films that are on every week anyway.
Aye,
Oh, is
Mr.
it?
and Mrs. Smith, they'll definitely be on there
Aye.
somewhere.
Hot
How
Fuzz will be on ITV4.
I'm going to say this is the worst category selection we've ever had. Like, I think this is the worst idea we've ever had.
Well,
Whose idea was it to put it in?
The TV.
Daniel, I feel like that you picked this.
I think it might have been my idea. I think it's the worst idea ever.
I
I'm
think
gonna
we
try
should
and
go
keep
with get the TV guide up, and then we'll take from next week, the 7 days of next week, and we'll take the best. We'll take a few movies from there, and we'll decide what we're going to watch from it.
Right, deal.
And we'll have a
No,
look.
it's not a suggestion.
We'll
Find
just
it.
look at what's on Film 4 that weekend and just run through that.
Whose suggestion was it?
Hunter put maybe even a TV scheduled film. We take a list of a selection of films from the TV listings.
Oh,
It was a suggestion. You never had to put it on the wheel for the man.
Daniel, he let you take the fall there as well, didn't he? He's fucking
couldn't
full
even
and let you
remember.
go.
I knew it was Hunter's idea, and I didn't want him to take the fall because I'm a good
Thank
dunter.
you.
Alliance.
Thank you,
I'm just looking down and thinking I've fully agreed to this being a good idea, but I'm not going to tell you if it did because you're not.
I think it's a good idea because it's out of our control, whatever's on.
Good point.
I think that was my reasoning behind it, and I'll stick with that because it sounds a lot way better than.
You were maybe just getting fed up having to pay for movies all the time.
I think that's what it was. That was part of the reason too, like because we're all, oh shit, we pick a film, oh no, it's no one anything.
That's to be fair, that's quite a good idea. If we can find good ones, then.
Is it normally me that gets stung for buying these movies anyway?
It's because you
I
always.
got a few as well. Everybody seems to have bought something, I had to say at one point.
Did we not have? What week did we have where we all bought the same movie on different on platforms?
I had to buy The Lighthouse at £2 and it felt like a robbery. And that was your choice, I'm sure, as well, Kyle.
Oh, I'll give that to Daniel. Throw that right back to Daniel. That was not me.
Daniel?
I've had time to quietly reflect here, and I think I overreacted. It's not actually a bad idea.
Well, guys, we'll draw an end on the recording for tonight. Like we said, In Bruges finishing at 53 on the list, Midsummer at 83, and next week's recording is going to be discussing Interstellar and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Keep an eye on our Instagram. On the Instagram, you will see the TV scheduled movies that we'll probably pull from the TV guide to see what shit's on there. I'm looking forward to seeing what the daytime movies are versus the nighttime movies. And if we can come up with a 16, because that'll be interesting.
Oh, there'll be some absolute shite on Channel 5 during the day. Anyway, so there'll be something there. One of the fucking Hallmark movies.
Watch it be True Romance that's on next week on the fucking telly. Right, guys, thank you very much for listening to us tonight, guys. Thank you very much for your company as well. And us morons bid you farewell.
Yeah, I've not even got preview.
I don't have normal telly, mate. So like I'm literally gonna have to dodgy stream this, whatever it is.
Same.
We're gonna end up having to pay for it, so somebody's gonna get stuck for
But, do you know, that's the thing, right?
You both got my Sky Go though, so you can watch it through that.
I mean, we kind of watch it at the same time, can we?
Oh no,
with
but
a
then
TV scheduled movie, my first assumption was it would be a case of like Thursday night, 9 o'clock, we all have to sit and watch this movie because that's when it's on the telly. But we're going to have to.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you've got my Sky Go, whether you'd be able to. You get films on demand, or whether you'd actually have to watch them at the time when it's on the telly.
I'm just going to up your subscription, Bursey, to include
I
cinema.
think, you know, like if you've got Sky, I've got my mate Sky Go, and you get, I think
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.